So today we're going to do this effect, which is kind of like a motion detector, sort of stuff doesn't show up unless it's moving, which is actually really easy to do on Premiere or After Effects, or really any software that has blending modes. So without further ado, let's jump into Premiere.
Okay, so I've got my clip here. I've marked out my in and out points already, so I'm just going to add that to the timeline. So the first thing to do is duplicate this video clip, which I'm going to do by holding down Alt on the keyboard and just dragging the clip up to the track above. So now we're just going to select the clip that we just made, go to Effects, Controls, down to Opacity, Blend Mode, and select Subtract. Now, to better illustrate what's going to go on in this next step, I'm just going to zoom right in and pop a little marker on it. So the final step is just to simply move the top clip along one frame, just to offset it by one frame, which I'm going to do by holding out Alt on the keyboard and pressing the right arrow. And there you have it. It really is that simple. So what's going on here? Well, this particular blending mode looks at what's going on track 2 and compares it with what's going on track 1. And if the two pixels are identical, then it subtracts them. And because these videos are identical, the only bits that are different are the bits that are moving, because we offset the top track. That's not the only thing you can do with it. If you go to blend modes again and select a different one like divide, which is pretty much just the inverse of subtract, you get something like this, like what you saw in the intro. But there are also other ones that have really weird and trippy looking effects. So if I go down to lighter colour, it kind of looks like I've got really tiny eyes and a huge nose, which I find looks very, a little bit disturbing really. Or if you want the opposite of that, you could go to dark colour. It looks like I have these weird sort of piercing bulbous eyes. So there's a lot of things you can do with the effect by experimenting with the blending modes or experimenting with how many frames you offset the top layer by. I mean, that looks pretty bizarre, doesn't it? So here's one that I discovered during the course of making this video. If you go down to hue, you get this sort of weird colour fringing effect that goes on. Or if you go down to saturation, it kind of looks a little bit like when an old VCR failed to track and all the colour went missing from it. So there's lots of stuff you can do with it. It's a pretty versatile method.
You could use this effect as some kind of Predator style POV shot. A style POV or dinosaur vision or something, you know, you can get creative, you're all smart. I'm going to take that again, that was horrible.